Welcome to the EOB podcast where we talk about the weekend's box office and the new openings this week. I am Ben No and joining me is Sen Dong. So Sen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Hey, okay, it's Super Bowl.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
I did not. I don't get the Super Bowl here.
Oh.
I couldn't receive the channel.
Oh, you didn't even get a antenna to get the local channels?
No, I have an antenna, but it's inside and it doesn't receive that particular channel.
Yeah, I tried that too because I was at my parents and for some reason, even though they have a cable, something was wrong with the connections, and so we couldn't get it. So we ended up using the antenna. And when you get it, the nice thing with HD is, digital is the pop.
Yeah.
It's almost like an all or nothing affair. You know how like in analog you get it even though there might be static all over the place, at least you get the channel maybe. But whereas digital, if you get it, it looks great, it's in HD. But if you don't get it, you just don't get it.
Is your parents' house stucco?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, mine is stucco, so there's like an iron mesh outside the house, so it blocks the signal coming in. So that's one of the reasons why we don't get the signal.
Yeah. But
we put up an external, one of those big antenna outside.
Yeah. So I was fiddling around with it with my siblings for about an hour. Maybe an hour, 15, hour, 30 minutes, until we finally said, "All right, let's give up on this thing." And then we went and somehow in another part of the house, the cable connection worked, so we ended up watching it in another part of the house.
All right.
It's actually this Super Bowl was pretty good. It's competitive until the last minute, and it's kind of like back and forth. A lot of surprising things happening.
And then as the clock is winding down, the big dramatic turn.
Yeah,
just like the movies. And
yeah. And this one, there's big dramatic turns in the first half too. At the end of the first half, the New England Patriots were leading in the beginning. It was like 7-0 or something. And then the Seahawks tied it. And then in the last 2 minutes, there were 2 touchdowns from both sides. And then it ended up tying. It's like 14-14. In the last 2 minutes, like wow, they spent, the majority of the first half, 1 touchdown each, and then in the last 2 minutes, there were 2 touchdowns.
Well, I think the best thing about this Super Bowl is that there were no power failures, right? No sketchy things going on.
Right.
And allowed to allow one of the team to come back.
Right.
Like last year.
Yeah, right. And this one is, this dramatic finish at the end where, there's an interception and, it's pretty crazy. And then, and then there's Katy Perry during the halftime show with, dancing dolphins or sharks or
yeah,
fishes.
Looks like sharks.
Sharks. Yeah. So, and her, the tiger, whatever she was standing on singing was pretty cool,
Okay, right. Okay, it seems like everyone was watching the Super Bowl this weekend.
Yeah, it's pretty, yeah.
And American Sniper.
Yeah, and American Sniper still did pretty well.
Yeah, okay, we're jumping in. Okay, American Sniper right now holds the record for the highest Super Bowl weekend opening.
Wow,
about 31.8 million estimate, coming in number 1 this weekend.
Again. Yeah, 3 weeks in a row.
Yes, and it has made 248 million so far.
Yeah.
Which is still good.
That's just in nearly 250 million in 3 weeks.
Yes, and
3 weeks of wide release.
Right, and this is with the Super Bowl going on, and it's still making 30 million in this 3rd week of wide release.
Each week it seems like it breaks another record,
Right. Without the Super Bowl, who knows what it'll make, right?
Yeah. Although the drop off, I think, is a little bit, higher than the second week. I mean, the second weekend it only had a 30% drop off.
Yeah, around 20 something.
Yeah, 20. Yeah. And then this week there's a nearly 51% drop off, which even with the Super Bowl happening is
right.
a little bit higher than the first, the second weekend.
Right, but it's to be expected, right? You can only come down because of that huge opening. You can't consistently open what for 60 million. I mean, first it was what 90 some million, then 60 or so, and
64,
then yeah, now it's 30. I mean, you couldn't really sustain that. It's not sustainable, right?
Well, that's the Well, that's the odd thing. You think that after the first weekend when it opened at 90 million, you don't think that it can possibly stay that high, but the second weekend it made 64, which is kind of like incredible because most films, when they open at 90 million or something, by the second weekend they tend to drop off by 50%.
Right.
Whereas American Sniper kind of broke that trend. The drop off was, like you said, only in the high 20s. And the only films that in recent history blockbuster status that did that was with Avatar. So the 51%, although it is a record and overall is still great, it was a little bit higher than what the second weekend indicated. So then it doesn't seem like it has that, it won't be as leggy as Avatar.
Well, no, because like Avatar is pretty much like a multiple viewing experience. You go there to just check out all the cool shots. Whereas that's why after the second weekend, some people think that this might have an Avatar effect because the second weekend was such a low drop off. Oh.
So which means, I think Box Office Mojo mentioned that maybe the must-see factor or must have worn off a little bit. Like most people watched out during the first weekend and then they watched out during the second weekend, and now most of the people who wanted to see it have already seen it in the first 2 weekends.
Okay, let's be clear, it's still a pretty good number, right?
Oh yeah, it's still a record-breaking number.
Yes. Let's check in on reality. It's still very good.
It's still exactly. After last weekend, we were thinking, hey, since it opened in limited release last year, it will most probably be the top film of 2014.
Right.
It still can do it, but now it's not as firm.
Okay, all right. But this money will lose money for WB.
This movie.
No movie ever makes money. Just to be clear here, okay?
They'll figure a way to prove to the IRS that they lost money on this movie.
Exactly. On the final line, they lost a lot of money on this movie. So we might think we're seeing like, oh, it's crossing 300 million, but no, they're losing a lot of money on this movie.
To everyone else, this movie makes a lot of money, but to the IRS, they're gonna see that this movie's going to lose a lot of money.
Right.
The accountants will work their magic to show the IRS that they actually lost money.
Right.
Despite breaking all these records.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, let's move on to number 2, Paddington.
Yeah, wow. Very leggy. Another low drop-off, only about a 30% drop-off. Made 8.5 million.
We're operating under the cloud of the Super Bowl here this weekend, so numbers are kind of deflated.
Numbers are kind of what?
Yeah. The numbers are deflated.
Deflated.
Because the Super Bowl was suppressed, like kept down because of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but which is surprising because Paddington kind of held up better than. If you look at most of these films, the drop off is like 50 to 60%. Paddington is one of the few with just a 31% drop off. So it held up pretty well, despite the Super Bowl.
Well, I credit it as being a family-friendly movie.
Yeah.
So those tend to hold well. If they are good.
Yeah.
And right now it's crossing the 50 million mark in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I think it made how much so far overseas?
Let's see here. 146 million overseas.
Yes, it's nearing 200 million worldwide. So
yep. With a budget of 60 million, so it's doing really well worldwide. And in the U.S., it's holding up pretty well. It's word of mouth has definitely been pretty good on this film. It's well reviewed. It's like one of the best reviewed. Not only one of the best reviewed family films out there, just one of the best reviewed films out there, period. in this early year. You know, at what is it, 96% on the tomato meter, 98%.
Yes, that's quite high.
Yeah, that's very high.
Yep.
So let's move to last weekend's new releases, Project Almanac.
Yeah, it's coming in at number 3, 8.5 million over the weekend.
And this is kind of disappointing. Because I was expecting 20 million.
Yeah, you were saying 15 to 20, and I was going higher to 20 to 25.
Oh yeah, so they're way worse than what both of us projected.
Yeah, it didn't make us look good.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it didn't make a lot of people look good. A lot of people were expecting this to do better because, you know, when you look at Michael, you know, this is under Michael Bay's company, and
he produced the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, as a producer, he's been doing consistently well. And this, you know, and Project Almanac is probably one of his first duds as a producer.
Well, yeah, but okay, your butt.
But despite that, the budget it only costs 12 million to make, and eventually, to everyone else, it'll probably make a profit. You know, except to the iOS, this movie's gonna lose.
No movie ever made a profit. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
The last movie to make a profit was maybe 50 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's thankfully it's cheap to make, right? 12 million, like you say.
But I guess, like we said, under the Michael Bay umbrella is disappointing. But if you just look at the numbers, it's gonna make money. Just not. It just didn't perform as well as the other Michael Bay productions.
No, and I think it was budgeted accordingly. I don't think that they think that's going to be a big movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think most of the money was spent on special effects. Because the cast is a list of unknowns, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
So no one would actually turn out to see this movie because who's in it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's more like one of these concept thrillers.
Yeah, I saw it last week. I was disappointed because, well, I didn't go in looking for much, but it's one of those. I feel like it's like a film that wanted to be Chronicles 2, pretty much. It has the same structure, same setting as. A bunch of high school kids who discover something, extraordinary. In this case, a time machine, and then they each try to use it in ways that that teenagers would use it for, and eventually they start, like Chronicles, they have selfish motivations, and then all these negative consequences happen, and then they have to try to fix it. It's not as cool as Chronicles, and it try to reference other time travel movies like Groundhog Day, Time Cop, Looper, and it's not as good as any of those films. It's almost like, hey, let's copy and paste all these things from all these other time travel movies and put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And although while you're watching it, it's entertaining, at the end you feel like there's nothing new or interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the fact that it's a time travel movie that targets the teenage audience. So everything's happy, everything's will be sugary, everything's will be bright, everything's will be energetic. But at the end of it, it's like, a sugar high. You're just like, there's a big letdown at the end.
Right. It's probably one of those movies for Michael Bay to give to one of his up-and-coming directors.
Yeah. And you see some of Michael Bay's influence. There's a lot of shots of, girls' legs, and I was like, whoa, this is surprisingly, for other teenage films don't go as they're not as direct about what who they're trying to appeal to.
Right.
Whereas this one, you definitely see, like Michael Bay's, like his Transformer movies, there are shots of, women's legs, and it's very direct and obvious, and they don't even try to hide it. Like, hey, here's some nice legs for you teenage boys to look
who
at.
knows? Michael Bay might be one of the uncredited cinematographers.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he's the guy, like a Piranha. But one of the producers told James Cameron that he wanted to shoot all those scenes of these women's breasts himself.
Okay. Right.
So maybe Michael Bay actually came in and go, hey, I want to shoot those leg shots myself.
Probably.
I want to make sure those shots are done, right.
Right. You never know, right? I mean, that might contribute an extra couple million to the movie.
Or took out a couple, who knows?
Yeah.
In our case, it probably took out a couple million.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all we have to say about Project Almanac. It'll probably, you will just go down from there.
Yeah. But because it was budgeted at just 12 million.
Yeah.
It'll make a profit. Oh, actually, the other thing I wanted to say about this is, this is part of that found footage, genre, which I hated. The only instance where I actually bear with it was with Chronicles. And the nice thing with Chronicles was that even though it was a found footage film, the camera actually stayed pretty still during a lot of the scenes. It wasn't as jerky, not as shaky. Whereas this in Project Almanac is, super shaky. It moves all the time, and if you're not used to it, you might get a headache. You might throw up even, But this time, the way I approached it was I hate the found footage genre.
Me too. It needs to go away.
Yeah, I hate I hate the technique. I feel like most of the time is misused. So with Project Almanac, I'm like, well, I hate this genre, but I have to, watch it. So why don't I just approach it as, hey, this is just how it is. This is the way they're going to film it. A lot of shots are going to be unnecessary. So just kind of go with it. And I went with it, and it wasn't as annoying. But I could see how after a glimpse of most of the reviews, a lot of critics were annoyed.
Well, it's really just a gimmick. As a filmmaking technique, it's not really that great. I mean, found footage is found footage, right? It's like within the movie, right? A character finds maybe a tape or whatever video, and then you watch it, and then it's just a short snippet from the POV of the character, and then you move on. Yeah, you don't make a whole movie based on it. Right.
Well, here's the problem with Project Almanac too, though, with the found footage technique. They try so hard to explain every scene and every angle that they have to do, Whereas even with Chronicles, they didn't. You sometimes feel like it is the way you found it. With Chronicles, it's like these shots are really. Some of the shots do make sense that it's there. Whereas this one, they have to explain like, oh, we're gonna shoot everything because we want to, that's just how we are. That's just how we, like one of the person who shot everything was the sister, and she's like, oh, you guys like to shoot everything, and she's constantly putting the camera at these weird angles when you're like, it's completely unnecessary, right?
Right.
And it's almost like they have to explain every single angle and every single shot of why they placed it there, and you're just like, if you have to waste all this time explaining all these angles, why don't you just take away this genre and just film it like a normal film?
Then again, this allows them to keep the budget low, maybe.
Yeah, you could be right. It could be one of these things where they can shoot it, because some of the shots do look really grainy and low quality. Like they probably really did shot it with an iPhone, for instance. I think with the Jason Bourne films, Paul Greengrass, the director, right? Some people ask him, hey, why do you do the shaky cam during the action scenes so much? And some people are like, hey, that technique's actually pretty good. It makes the scenes more intense. It makes it seem more realistic. And he's like, one of the reasons why he's used shaky cam is that you can hide a lot of mistakes. He's like, during these action scenes, when they're doing fight scenes, they might not be as good if you shot it, if you just held the camera, but because you're shaking it all over the place, you can't tell that, they can make more mistakes without, and then because the cameras are all over the place, you don't focus on the mistakes.
Right.
So I guess when you shoot it that way, one way that one of the ways that you can keep the budget low is because it's constantly shaking. Your props doesn't have to be perfect props. The dialogue doesn't have to be perfect dialogue, and your designs doesn't have to be perfect because the camera is moving all over the place anyway, and people are going to be more focused on the action than everything else. So this genre does help filmmakers keep the budget low.
Yeah, but maybe not for the better.
Yeah, not for the better. Yeah, I'm glad that this genre is actually kind of on the trending low.
Yeah, in small dosages, it's good. It's a tool, but to use it in a whole movie, it's like, oh my God, you need to take some pills afterwards.
Yeah. I think whenever you have to explain every single angle within the movie, then you know that this technique is completely unnecessary.
Yeah, when you need to explain, it's really a problem with the screenplay.
Yeah, well, like you said in the screenplay, when you see exposition and people have to narrate, there's a problem with the screenplay.
Right.
In this case, when the characters in the film have to explain how they get all these angles, that there's a problem with the format and the technique.
Right. All right, that's Project Almanac.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to number 4, Black or White.
New
release.
Didn't make much of an impression.
Yeah, 6.5 million over the weekend. I expect it to be higher.
Yeah, me too.
I was thinking 10 to 15. You were saying 10.
Yeah.
You were pretty close.
Yeah, it was still a lot. Still did a lot worse than either of us expected. I guess Kevin Costner is just not much of a draw anymore.
Well, I think it depends on what kind of movie. This is more of a drama, not really his forte. I mean, Kevin Costner, as a younger actor, yes, but not Kevin Costner now.
Yeah. Now I don't think he has enough to carry a film. His last movie was a baseball movie, right?
Football, Draft Day.
Yeah, football movie, and Draft Day. And it's usually one of those films that he does well in, and even that, barely broke 10 million in its opening weekend. I thought it would maybe draw in the white audience and the African American audience, but it kind of did neither.
It might have trouble finding an audience because they don't know who the movie is made for. It's this custody battle. It's supposed to be
custody battles are always really exciting to film, right?
Yeah, it's to highlight the lives of the POV from the white family side and then the POV from the black family side.
Right.
But in the end, I don't think it appealed to either side.
Yeah, court battles always seem to be the most boring thing to watch, right?
It actually depends it depends on what the stakes are.
Yeah, I guess if it's a feel good man, when you have Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise, court battles could be pretty exciting. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. But
exactly. So, that's a great line anyway. But for this one, that there's no clear dividing line. It's both sides wants what's good for the little girl, but and I think in the end the battle's not that interesting. Maybe
there's not much drama in it. Maybe
not much drama.
Maybe you can tell where it's going. You watch it. Yeah, both of them was great for her. So where's the drama?
Exactly. It's just why don't you just pick a side or pick a family? Yeah. One of these things where the stakes are really. Not I wouldn't say high, but not that exciting.
Maybe Maybe the trailer makes the two sides too agreeable.
I think they try to be fair for both sides, and there's really no one to root for. Really.
There's not much drama. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, there's drama there, but you want them both to turn out well. I mean, you can't say, this bad. Daddy's trying to come back for her kid, but that he's not fit to be a father, right?
Yeah.
If there's that, then then Kevin.
Exactly. Then there's potential. Then there's more potential for drama. Whereas this is there's not much potential for drama when both of them are they both want the same things. Was great for this mixed kid, and they both are kind of in agreement, but don't know how to quite get there. So there's not that much. It's like watching the Cisco and Ebert replacements. After Roger Ebert left the show, there's not much. I thought even Richard Wilbur was doing a pretty decent job, just because he would disagree with the other guest hosts. Whereas I feel like afterwards, with A.O. Scott, even though I felt like and the Chicago Tribune critic got his
Michael Wilmington, something like that.
Yeah. But I feel like, even though I like both of them, but when both of them are together, I feel like both of them are too agreeable and too nice, and there's not much drama, even though I like both of them as critics individually. And so I feel like that's kind of like Black or White, where they're both pretty nice, and you kind of know that at the end they'll get an agreeable. They'll agree and figure something out. So there's not too much drama.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Moving on to number 5, The Boy Next Door, with around 6 million over the weekend.
Yeah.
For a total of 25 million so far.
Yeah. With a budget of only 4 million, so even though it's a hugely profitable film, again, when they file their taxes, it's going to be a money loser.
Right.
They'll be like, we lost 100 million on this. They're like, wait, it only cost you 4 million to make. How do you lose 100 million on this?
Right. They found a way. A way.
The accountants will find a way.
Yeah. Okay. Jennifer Lopez movie.
Back in the game, even we kind of expected after last week that it's gonna have a kind of steep drop off, right?
Yeah. But then again, this movie was made for 4 million. I mean, it'll be interesting to see her in a higher budget movie. To see if she's really back in the game. Yeah. Because this movie was made for so low, it's hard to tell. I mean, it made money.
Right.
But if it's made for 25 million, then it's getting dicey, right?
Yeah, right. But this movie will look like you'll probably end up in the 30 to 30. Well, probably around 35 million range when it's all said and done.
Right. So, but like I say, if it's made for 25, even though it gets to 35, it's not a good number.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Move on to number 6, The Wedding Ringer, coming in at 5.7 million, nearing 50 million.
Yeah, it's pretty good with a budget of just 23 million.
Yes.
Another legitimate hit for Kevin Hart.
Hey.
All right. Let's move on to
number 7, The Imitation Game. About 5.1 over the weekend. 67 or 68 million total.
They added about 400 screens this week. I think this is the first time where there's actually a drop off. Because the previous, I think 3 weeks in a row, it made 7 million this weekend.
Yep.
And this weekend, despite adding 400 theaters, it dropped down to 5 million, which, for films in the top 10 is still the lowest drop off, and it's still holding up pretty well. Now it looks like, what do you think? Can it get to 100 million?
Ooh, 100 million.
It's at 68 so far, so
I think it's tough. I think 80 is good.
Yeah, 80. Yeah.
100 is tough.
Well, we'll have to see how much it drop off next week.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it's definitely considered a pretty big hit already.
Yeah, still good.
Already made 68 million. It's the movie that it's been in the top 10 for the last 4 weeks, and it seems like no one talks about it, but it just keeps on making more and more money. One of those films that's getting a great word of mouth. Let's move on to number 8, Taken 3.
Okay, Taken 3 in its 4th week.
Yep, 3.6 million. The total is at 81 million. Doesn't look like it's going to reach 100 million now.
No, but it's still pretty good. I mean, budget is 48. Compared to the previous movie, it didn't make as much as the previous movie, Taken 2. Crossing 80 is still a pretty solid number.
Yeah, and worldwide it's already made 244 million.
Yeah, yeah.
For a movie that costs only about 50 million, that's like almost 5 times its budget. That's pretty good. If you compare it to the previous film, which made about 400 million worldwide, it's slightly disappointing. But hey, the first film made about 200 million worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
This one's at 244. So it's like you said, still pretty good, even though slightly disappointing.
Yeah, I mean it's not still pretty good. It's hugely successful. Okay.
Yeah, it's still hugely successful.
But it just didn't make as much as the second movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like if your movie made 1 billion, 2 billion, and the second film makes 1 billion, it's still a lot of money.
Exactly.
Yeah, just not as good as the previous film, but still.
Yep. Right. Okay.
All right, Strange Magic.
Ooh, number 9. In its second weekend, 3.4 million for nearly 10 million so far. This animation from the mind of George Lucas.
Completely bombed.
Yeah, because I think it came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere.
Knew about it, and when the previews comes out, and just hey, there's this movie animation. Please watch it because it's by George Lucas.
Number 10, The Loft.
Number 10, The Loft.
Another new release.
Another new release, which expected. It bombed 2.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally scheduled to be released, I guess last August, but it got pulled until now.
Yeah, now we know why it got pulled. It's just not very good.
Yeah, like you say, this movie need a strong female character. But this one, it's all about men.
It's a bunch of guys, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of guys. It kind of remind me of that movie. I think it's called like I Melt with You.
I Melt with You.
I Melt with You. It's pretty much about this group of men with secrets that got together over a summer or something. That starred Thomas Jane, Jimmy Piven, Rob Lowe.
Oh, and it was in theaters?
It was.
Oh, did it? Oh, it was? Oh,
But it was like limited release.
Oh, okay.
But kind of, I felt that it's kind of like that, where like a bunch of guys have secrets, and they're and they have to figure out what their secrets are.
Yeah, and we all know how exciting that is when a bunch of guys come together and talk about their feelings, right? That sounds like something that really draws in a lot of men, right?
Yeah. When you put a bunch of men together, there needs to be knives and guns on the floor.
Yeah.
And either aliens on the outside or something.
Yeah. When they take off their clothes, they have to have, they have to take off their clothes with guns. Yeah, that kind of gun, not the other kind of gun. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
People who go watch erotic thrillers, or guys, I think women wouldn't go out and watch something like that.
Yeah, for erotic thriller, right? You need a femme fatale, right? A strong female character. But for this one, there really isn't.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and I think it will drop off from there. This is even worse than Blackhat's opening.
Yeah.
But still made number 10.
Do you see anything interesting in the rest of the top 50?
Top 50, well, just as an update, Birdman is at 33 million. It's on the at the $40 million watch.
Oh yeah, looks like it might get there. It's already at 33.
A couple more weeks.
It's holding up pretty well. It's only 22% drop off from the previous week.
Right. And Mortdecai, the Johnny Depp movie.
Second weekend, it's already off the top 10, huh?
Yeah, it fell to number 16 with only 1.4 over the weekend, and for a total of like 7 million so far.
Oh my goodness.
So it's gonna fail to make 10.
Yep.
Total bomb. It cost 60 million to make.
Yeah, holy moly.
Yeah, I think he has to give money back to the producers.
Right.
Let's see. The Theory of Everything is at 30.
Okay.
If it stays on, I don't know. It probably won't make 40.
Yeah. Well, although kind of like Birdman, the drop off is pretty low.
It is, but still, it has to stay there for what, 10 more weeks.
10 more weeks, yeah.
So I don't think it'll stay in theaters for 10 more weeks.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna have. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna make it.
Right. Let's see.
So in the end, I could still be white, more white than you.
Right.
But we're both kind of white because they're both getting
they're getting there, but the road is getting tougher.
Yeah.
Okay. And Interstellar is back on.
Oh, okay. Well,
mainly because I think for the video release.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that if you pre-order the movie, I think you'll get a ticket to see it in theaters. So maybe that's why they're releasing it back in theaters.
Oh, okay. So overall is that 187 million? Oh, okay, not bad.
And an update to Blackhat.
Okay, what is that at?
7.8 million so far.
Oh, okay.
It's another bomb of 2015. It cost 70 million to make, and like Mortdecai, it won't reach 10 million.
Yeah.
And
I guess one of the few bombs for Michael Mann.
Yeah. This is like a total bomb. I mean, it's not just a bomb, but like a huge bomb.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't make many movies. So he doesn't make many movies. So when he has a bomb, it's like, geez.
Yeah, even the Woman in Black 2 made more than it in a week.
Oh, right.
So that's pretty telling.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dumb and Dumber 2 is at 86 million total.
Yep.
I'm surprised it's still in theaters.
Yeah. There, maybe second run.
Was it the Game of Thrones IMAX screenings actually did pretty well, 1.5 million.
What is it? Is that the pilot for the TV show?
No, I think it's just a bunch of episodes.
Oh, okay, I see.
Like I guess maybe a bunch of the best episodes from the previous season to get people ready for the current season or the debut of the current season. And it actually made 7,000 per screen, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to next. This week's opening, I guess.
This week's opening. Right.
Okay, so we have Jupiter Ascending, Seventh Son, and the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. So we can begin with Jupiter Ascending.
What do you think of that?
The Wachowski sibling movie.
They're producing, right? They're not directing.
No,
right?
they are directing.
Oh, they are directing.
This is the Wachowski much heralded return to sci-fi. It was originally scheduled to be for release, I think, last December.
Oh, and they pushed it to.
And then they pushed it. I don't know. I think it was either November or something like that. But they somehow ended up with like December. But somehow they pushed it back to February 6th.
Okay.
The reason given was so they can have more time for the special effects.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So what do I think? Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. You know what? I saw the trailer and I didn't know it was a Wachowski siblings movie. It didn't have that feel, there's something off with it.
Well, I see this movie really kind of an extension, I mean, in look to the sci-fi part in Cloud Atlas.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
And really I heard that people describe it as a Snow White in space type of movie.
Okay.
So where Mila Kunis character is wanted by the Queen of the Universe,
right?
Because she's next in line for Queen to be Queen, and she needs to be killed off.
Yeah.
And Channing Tatum's character is a hunter hired initially to kill her off, but then saved her from the evil Queen.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I feel like whenever I see Channing Tatum in that kind of like an action type movie, I don't feel like he has that toughness to carry an action movie, and I don't think a lot of people see him as a action star. Can see him as an action star.
Well, that will spell trouble for the Gambit movie, by the way.
Oh.
Because
Right.
he's going to be Gambit.
But
But in any case, Jupiter Ascending looks expensive. And
yeah, it does look expensive, yeah.
And looks like trouble.
Yeah, it does look like, like you said, it does look like trouble too. The feeling I got when I saw the trailer is although I'm curious, I don't feel like it's a must see. It doesn't feel cool, it doesn't have that, like The Matrix. When you watch it, when you see the trailer and you watch it, you're like, it has a coolness factor. Even with some of the Wachowski siblings productions, they do have that cool factor, and this one I don't feel like has that cool factor. It has that icky, romance thing in the act. It's like when you have a leading male star, and the focus of it is on the romance. I feel like in a lot of action movies, when the romance actually kind of destroys the film if you focus on it too much instead of the action. And whereas this one, I feel like there's too much focus on the romance. Okay. What do you think?
For me, there's really no reason to watch this movie, I feel. Because, again, I don't think they're bringing anything new to this sci-fi genre. When you talk about the Wachowskis, right?
Yeah, there's nothing compelling or intriguing about it.
I mean, you think back to their groundbreaking Matrix movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Or even their indie films. Like.
Right. They push the envelope. This one it's like there's nothing that you see here that blows you away. Say, oh, I must go out and watch Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, right.
Even though it has
big stars. Channing Tatum, Mila Kunis.
Right. And the much heralded return of the Wachowski to sci-fi.
Yeah, because even in their previous movies like Speed Racer, even though it's a complete utter dud. Speed Racer does look interesting because they try to make a live action version of a cartoon. How they try to use angles and techniques that you see in traditional 2D animation, cell animation, and put it in a live action film. Even that looks like interesting enough to me to want to go watch it, even though the film is a complete dud. But this Jupiter Ascending doesn't have anything interesting or compelling to draw me in. And even like Ninja Assassin, a film that they produce, that does have a coolness factor. Like, this looks cool. Or V for Vendetta is a film that with high concept, but also very interesting and has a coolness factor.
That's the thing. I mean, they have characters that are interesting, but this one, the characters are not that.
Yeah, and Channing Tatum. I'm not sure. Yeah, and Channing Tatum isn't cool. He might be a big star and he have a bunch of big hits, but I don't feel like he's cool. I don't think people see him as an action star because his was it White House Down?
Yep, White House Down.
Like that one, I feel is the same thing. If they cast another person in it, another male actor who's more of an action hero type, that movie could have succeeded. But I feel like he didn't have enough, action star cred to make that movie successful.
My feeling is that this will be the final movie of the Wachowskis having a big budget to work with.
Well, you feel like, it's one of those things where they're like, oh, your Matrix movies can only carry you so far. You can only have so many duds after the Matrix.
Mainly because they're high-priced duds. They're not just duds.
Yeah, exactly.
After Speed Racer, Cloud Atlas, and this.
Yeah.
I don't think they can go to Warner Brothers and say, hey, we want to make another $100 million plus movie.
They have been more successful as producers. The V for Vendetta did pretty well, and even Ninja Assassin. That did decent.
Okay, so maybe that's where they should be going. I'm just guessing here. Maybe it'll end up like hugely successful and do gangbusters overseas, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, if they see that potential, they would have released it last November or December. They wouldn't push it up to February.
Yeah, their official excuse is to give more time for the special effects to be completed, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sure. What do you think? What's the number?
Oof. What's the number? Okay, even after saying that, I'm gonna do 25.
25.
Yep.
I'm gonna go 10
Wow.
because I feel like people saw Channing Tatum in White House Down, an action movie, and that failed to impress. So I don't think he have adventure action star status. So I'm going 10, at most 15.
Okay.
But I'm staying with 10.
Okay, you may end up being right. Okay, but I'm just going 25 because of what they did before.
And the stars.
And the stars.
Yeah.
And the special effects. And because of the competition. But who knows?
Right.
People might not like we said, right? There's no compelling reason to go and watch.
Yeah, that's why I'm going with 10.
Yeah, for us. I don't know about for the rest of the people.
Yeah.
they might.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, for me, the only reason why I want to see it is because the Wachowski brothers, wrote and directed. I don't really care to watch an action movie with Channing Tatum. I like Mila Kunis. But if I have to pay to watch this movie, I wouldn't go out and watch it. I wouldn't go out and say, hey, grab a bunch of my friends and go, let's go watch Jupiter Ascending. Not that type of movie.
Right.
If I do decide to watch it, it might be just me sneaking in, alone. And I might not even tell people that I went to see it.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay, I'm guessing high, but I know I'm guessing high, but
who knows? It might be right.
Let's go with that. It'll probably end up somewhere in between, maybe 15.
Yeah.
Let's give the Wachowskis the benefit of the doubt.
The only review, there's one review on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's rotten. Let me see what it says. Okay, let's see who reviewed it. Oh, Cinema Blend reviewed it. It's hard to begrudge a film like Jupiter Ascending, both for its creative scope and in that it is one of the few and far between female-led action movies. But it is equally hard to validate it beyond those elements.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mixed review, huh?
Yeah. Essentially, what we've been saying.
Yeah. Although I do like seeing Mila Kunis as an action star. Though. I could see her being a decent.
Sure, but Jupiter Ascending is probably not that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, okay. It's over 2 hours long.
Okay. So we move on to Seventh Son.
Yeah, let's move on to the Seventh Son by Universal. I think it was originally a Warner Brothers movie as well.
I'm not sure.
Because it got delayed because one of the special effects house was going through bankruptcy.
Oh, okay.
I think it was digital domain.
Oh man.
Effects for it.
Oh, okay.
And
I thought Michael Bay owns digital domain now, right?
I don't know. I don't follow it, but it's one of the effects house that did it.
Okay.
And they didn't have time or money to finish it.
Oh, okay.
And here we have it, the Seventh Son.
I'm actually kind of curious after the trailer.
It's okay. Let's see. When I saw the trailer, it seems like a mix of what it seems like Witch Hunter and Jack and the Giant Killer or Slayer.
Yeah.
And it starred Kit Harington, who I didn't recognize.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges, Julianne
Moore, and totally kind of like
Williams too.
The Witch Hunters. So I didn't think that the Witch Hunter was that good, but somehow it made a lot of money. So I don't know.
Wait, the Witch Hunters. Wait, you mean the Jeremy Renner one, or
Yeah, Jeremy Renner one.
wait, is it called The Witch Hunter?
No, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Hansel and Gretel
Yeah,
Witch
that
Hunters.
was yeah. That's because they budgeted accordingly. It made about 50 million or 55 million, yeah, but
Right,
the budget was low enough that they made a profit.
right.
But I think the thing with the Seventh Son is the title is kind of the title
Well,
made it sound like some horror movie,
yeah, it's based
not
on
a fantasy movie.
yeah, it's based on a book series.
And the stars, Jeff Bridges and Julianne Moore are more like, Oscar. These people are more popular for making, indie movies, not mass, entertainment movies.
Right, right.
These stars don't open movies.
Right.
They star in indie movies that make their money gradually. But I saw the trailer. I'm curious. It does look like it could be pretty entertaining.
I'm going with 10, mainly because Kit Harington reminds me a lot of Nicholas Hoult.
Oh yeah, right.
He's not leading man material.
Yeah, not charismatic. Not leading man material.
Right, and
just kind of bland.
Yeah, and the story again is generic, and Julianne Moore does not make a good villain. That's my feeling about it.
Oh, we forgot. Demon Hansu was in it too. See a bunch of good actors in a mass, commercial movie.
Right. So is Mortdecai.
Yeah. The trailer does make it look like it could be potentially decently entertaining. I'm gonna go 15 to 20 on this.
Which is pretty good for this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
But it will. I think it will. It has already made over 80 million overseas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, who knows? Maybe I might be right.
Yeah, maybe. But for me, I just again one of those movies that just didn't look very good. I wouldn't want to watch it.
Oh, you know what? It already made 26 million in China. Oh, and Russia, the communists. It made 15.5 million in Russia, which is pretty good. Wow, so the communists are supporting it. Overseas, it's made 82 million already.
Mm-hmm.
It's not huge. It's a decent sized hit in both China and Russia, which is together makes up half of the international growth so far.
Oh, sure, but we don't. We're talking about here. I think it might not do as well over here.
Okay, let's move on to the Spongebob movie.
SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, live action hybrid, animation hybrid.
Yeah, only in the last third of the film though.
Oh, okay, still?
Yes.
I think this is going to be the big movie.
You think it's going to be?
Yeah, this is going to be the big.
I remember that the first one was a pretty, it was a solid size hit. The first SpongeBob movie. Let's see how much it made. Okay, so the first one had a huge opening, 32 million.
Yeah.
And then ended up with 85.4 million total. Which is why we're getting a second movie. But I'm surprised they're calling this one the SpongeBob movie instead of the first. Oh, the first one is the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Okay.
It doesn't matter if you know who SpongeBob is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with. I think it's gonna be the top movie of this week with 30.
Okay, so you're going with 30 million?
Yeah, 30 plus.
The first film opened in the middle of November or late November and made 32 million. This one's opening really wide. So you know what? 30 million could be right. Yeah, I'll go with 32. I'm in line with you for this one.
All right.
I saw it over the weekend and it's pretty good.
Great endorsement by Sen.
It's one of those films that appeals to both kids and adults. There's a lot of adult humor. I found myself laughing as much, if not more, than my kids. They love all the physical humor and a lot of lines of very snappy and very quick with it, very sharp humor. I saw it in 3D. I actually like the way it looks in 3D.
Oh.
Because the majority of the film is cell animation, but it's watching it in 3D, watching the cell animation in 3D actually adds another dimension to it.
Oh, okay.
literally, and it looked great. So it's interesting because you're watching 2D cell animation in 3D, and it does look pretty good. And then when they get out the water, the sea, and that's when it enters live action. And then the characters actually become 3D animated, computer animated.
Oh yes.
3D computer animation. So that's I thought that was a pretty nice touch. There are lots of nice touches like that. Overall I was pretty entertained. I was laugh. The humor comes at you consistently throughout the film, and it's fast paced, it's high energy. These characters are always bouncing around, and so yeah, I liked it. It's one of those family films that will appeal to kids and adults.
And it's pretty much the only new family movie out in theaters.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's released in over 3,500 theaters.
Yeah, so we'll probably cut into Paddington's business.
It will. Families will probably go check it out until before 50 Shades of Grey hit.
Yeah.
Don't want to walk into the wrong theater,
Yeah, right, yep. Right.
All right, I think that's all we have for this week. And I will be out of town next week,
right.
so we'll have to do it when I come back.
Right, okay. Sounds good.
All right. Then until then, take care.
All right, bye everyone.